Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to see your beautiful face.
Likewise, likewise.
Thank
So,
you.
before we get started, I just have to say I was doing a little bit of research and I found out that we have the same birthday. So,
No, really? I only know a few people like that, and they're really some of my favorite people. That's fantastic.
same. March 27th is a great day, and we share the
It
birthday with
is.
Mariah Carey as well. So,
Oh, I didn't realize that. 327. It's like the numbers feel good to me, right?
yes, 100.
I love that.
So, I was
Well,
like, oh, this is going to go great. We have the same birthday.
totally. Yeah. We don't even need to worry. It's all good.
Yes, but super excited to talk to you about your new movie, Witch Hunt. I saw the trailer and it looks intense. Like
Very intense.
it looks like we're about to go on a wild ride, wild journey. So tell me a little bit about the
Yeah.
project.
So it's funny. I mean, I love the trailer. It scares you, the trailer does. But the movie itself is, yes, scary as you want it to be, right? But it's also incredibly tender. And there's a real beauty to the way that Al built the suspense. It reminds me a little bit of a more like a more old-fashioned thriller, a more old-fashioned suspense. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be scared. You are, but there's some real storytelling in here, and every detail is perfect. Like she's thought about every little detail. And so it builds in such a way where you find yourself getting more and more anxious and more nervous because you're like, what's going to happen? And then the payoff is worth it, right? Like it really does kind of get to a point where but it's emotionally it rings you out a bit, right? So it's yes, scary, but also intense, and it makes you think. It's thought provoking. It may make some people angry. It may make some people feel calmed. Like you don't know what
Right.
it's going to kind of elicit in people. But I found it to be heartbreaking and scary, and then a little bit life affirming. So I felt like it had all those good things.
It had everything that
It
people need.
did. Yeah, exactly.
100%. Yeah, I kind of, when I was watching the trailer, I found myself wondering, like, where is this going to go? So I'm super, super excited to see it and
Yeah.
excited for fans to see it. Tell
Thank
us a little
you.
bit about your character in the film.
So my character's name is Martha. She's a mom first and foremost, and she also, on the sly, runs a safe house for witches. She protects women from basically being burned at the stake for the most part. Witchcraft, of course, is real, and being policed. Women in power are being policed,
Mhm.
and she is one of those people who masquerades as an everyday citizen. She goes along with everything that people are saying. She listens. She's on the forefront of saying things that go along with the status quo, with the way things are supposed to be.
Right.
But on the side, she is doing the right thing,
Yeah.
right? Like she is kind of, a hero hiding in plain sight, and has no need for other people to think of her that way, right? Like she is purely doing it because it's the right thing to do, and it scares her, I think, every day. And that's what drew me to her. I love people who do the right thing, and when no one is looking, right? When they're not, saying, hey, look how virtuous I am, but instead they're just doing it. They're doing it because that's what they do, and they can't do anything other than that.
At 100%. And which is such a contrast because you are so
Yeah.
sweet and lovely. But when I was watching Outer Banks, I was like, what is going on here? So please talk to Outer Banks is one of my favorite shows for you to join
Me
in.
too. It's so good. So
It's
I
so
didn't I
good.
didn't watch it, because I'm a middle-aged woman, right? So I didn't like watch it when it first came out because I thought it
Right.
was for teenagers. It's not. I loved it so much. I was
Yeah.
completely captivated. I watched the first one with my partner, and then we were both like, "Oh yeah, super good." But then like he left, and I binge watched all night long and watched the whole thing. And then when I had the audition, I was actually really nervous because I was like, shoot, I really like this
Right.
show. But yeah, it's so good. They're so good. The storytelling is so good. The location is so fantastic.
Yeah, and it's just
So yeah,
beautiful on screen, and you were
beautiful.
fantastic because
Oh,
you're
thanks.
so evil. You're one of the perfect villains in the show. And then, like, not to give anything away, but we know you'll be back. So have you guys talked about have you guys talked about
Yeah.
that at all?
I mean, while we were shooting, we talked about what ifs, and those are
Mhm.
super fun. And
Yeah,
I actually think that sometimes shows the health of a show is that if the actors are all talking what ifs,
right.
it means that they're invested. It's like a book, right? You want to know what the next chapter is. And I find on shows that haven't hit something, you don't do that, right? You're kind of like, oh, this was so much fun. Good job, everybody. But we did a lot of what ifs, and we all kind of tossed things back and forth. But it's a complete mystery to me where they might go with all of it. There are so many different avenues discussed, and it would be lovely to be part of it because I really enjoyed it so much. Although, Carla, she's such a piece of work.
But we can say she was determined if we're going to say anything.
She's very determined and she wants to live. Those are two things that is.
Right.
Yeah.
But just watching that, I was just super excited. I can't wait to see what they do with season 3, especially with your character and everybody else, because it just took such an interesting turn. You from season 1, and they really elevated it and brought in new characters like yourself and a few other people. So it's going to be so exciting. And I'm
glad you felt that way. Yeah, I thought I was. I mean, I really enjoyed the show, so I was like, oh, fun. Okay, good.
Yeah, and I don't even think people maybe realize how much, like, how many of our favorite shows that you've been a part of, like Once Upon a Time and Lost, like, you just been out doing some amazing work.
Thank you.
How do you feel about, because a lot of people feel a certain way, but how do you feel about the way things ended with Lost?
Oh, great question. I really quite liked it, but then again, I'm a fantasy girl, right? So right. The idea that the island was just magic, that's fine with me. I mean, I think extraordinary things happen. And we grow up in this world and we see it this way, but when you really sit down and look at even our natural world, it's an extraordinarily magical place, right? Like our world itself is extraordinary. Mm-hmm. So I think that for me, just believing that was the case was fine with me, and that second part was them in the afterworld, kind of like basically going through their paces till they find their way back to the truth of themselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, that makes sense to me too. So I kind of liked it, but of course I've had big people have had arguments with me. I haven't argued with them because I want people to talk and express their feelings, and I find that they feel like my opinion holds more weight. I have no idea why. We're all fans, right? So but I know that people are very unhappy with it, and then some people it's the greatest thing ever, and I like that. I think it should be polarizing.
Yeah, and I think for years above everything, it'll still continue to spark conversation and interest, and people will continue to watch it. But yeah, just like realizing that you were a part of some of my favorite things, I'm like, man, like you need more recognition, man. Like you're doing it. How do you still find the magic and the joy within acting and within your work?
Oh gosh, I think so much of it. That's such a lovely question. I love that. I love that idea, and I do find magic. So I'm so grateful that you see that. I love being a character actor. I love the fact that I work a great deal of the time, and most of the time people have absolutely no idea that it's me, or they don't put it together, or all of a sudden they'll be like, oh my gosh, that was you, because after doing it for so long, and that's a real joy to me. So I suppose the magic for me is that I always just wanted to do it. I didn't think about the after effects of it. I didn't have any desire to be famous. Quite the opposite, really. Like I really quite like my own little life. I didn't have any of those needs. I just loved the work, and I never thought I would be doing it on this scale. I thought I would just be doing our local, if I was lucky to do our local theater center and be part of that group of actors who I thought and still think are extraordinary. So I guess my key to joy is to just love it, and that's it, right? And love it and work for it and try to be better and tear myself up so that I can do things that scare me and then do it and then say, okay, that job is done, and then let it go, right? Like not hold on to to the rest, which I have no say over.
Absolutely. That's so true.
Yeah.
I feel like you're preaching right now. So very, very helpful. So with the witch hunt, do you feel that because it's such a, I wouldn't say it's a dark film because I haven't seen it yet, but it does look like it's going to, dark. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it has, I mean, it's part of that is really dark. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm so sorry I interrupted.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, like, how did that feel transforming into something more so along those lines? Because it does seem like a little bit different than maybe how we've seen you or things that, you know, that you've done, and just from yourself in general.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a silly little happy person, but I think that, because I live on a little island. Like I bake bread. Like I'm just such an odd little duck. Of course I'm happy. I'm almost always alone, but I loved, so I loved that character. There is something in me, and maybe it's a flaw, but I am attached to the idea of being good, right? I want to be a good person. I want to do no harm. I want to go into the world and make things better than when I found it, right? Like I want that for myself, and I want to be that person. And Martha is that person. So that was kind of a wonderful thing that's how she walks through life. So for my ego, it was a great role. But I think that as far as the work itself, Elle is so specific with the way things look, with the emotion, with the actors. Her world is, she's built a world of vision, of sound, of all of that. And playing in that world was a real joy because she had control of all of that. So we just got to do our characters. And if we had ideas and we brought them to her, she would see if they fit into this world that she created. And she was hugely collaborative that way. But the fun thing is that it's her painting, right? So then you got to kind of paint with her, and it was great. And as far as it was a horror, it's that genre, but there's so much more to it. And that is all because of the relationships. They are well drawn, and Gideon, I instantly had a connection with, as well as with Abby. I just, all those girls were so dear, right? They're so vulnerable and funny and good, and all of those big, deep discussions you get to go into when you are the oldest member of a cast, right? Like you get to be the mom, you get to hear things from everybody that you wouldn't ordinarily get to hear. And honestly, it's such a gift. There's a very cool thing about getting older where you get this automatic respect that maybe you don't deserve. And the fun thing is that you still feel the same, but there are all these new relationships that you get because those doors open. They open wide into people's hearts, into their fears, into all of that. And that I loved. That didn't in any way answer your question, but it was a really fun
that was
stream of consciousness.
I was going to say, you deserve all the credit, all the respect.
Thank 100%.
You. What are you hoping that people will kind of talk about after they see the movie, or maybe some discussions will come up? Because I'm a horror fan, so I'm like ready to see it. I'm ready to go.
Well, yeah, you'll be scared. There's some really good jump scares in there for sure. That I was surprised at. I had that feeling where your heart goes and like the hairs go up on your, and I knew they were coming, right? Like so I feel like, I think this is going to be a really interesting one.
I love that.
That's what I think. Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's awesome. Really, it is. I mean, it was really so fun to do. And I like that genre too, when it's done well. Right. Yeah. And I think Elle does it well.
Would you say that this role was something, not necessarily the role, but the film itself was something out of your comfort zone where you were like, I have to do this. This is something.
That's such a great clarification. Yeah, you're right. So great to ask that question. I wanted to do it mainly because I love working with women. I grew up with all women. I love women, I find myself really drawn in by women's stories, by our strength, by our own brand of magic. I'm always fascinated by that. So I was drawn in for the women. That fact that it was a scary movie didn't in any way throw me because I knew that it was based in these amazing relationships.
Right.
However, that being said, it is fun to be part of something that is a little scary, right? And is scary in the way that I like it. You know, is scary in the way of those really well-crafted, sometimes older shows where you're like, oh my God, what just happened? You know, rather than relying on gore or this or that, all of which can be fascinating. It's a genuine builds to some genuine scares. And I kind of like that.
What's one of your favorite horror movies?
Oh gosh. You know what I keep thinking of is that Nicole Kidman one, but the name is escaping me. Where the mist kept coming in and she was surrounded by the mist and she was, I'm going to have to, I'll tell Craig and he'll tell you.
Okay.
But I feel like it was amazing. And it was called something along those lines, but it was one of those suspense horror movies where it just built and built and built, and at the end it just broke your heart wide open. And that's probably my favorite horror movie. And of course I can't remember the name because I
know I'm probably gonna go watch it because you said you liked it. So, and I don't think
and Nicole Kidman's so good in it. She's so, I mean, she's always good. That's not, but she's so unbelievably good in it that you get completely sucked in with her. And then as it twists and turns, your heart breaks because what you think is happening isn't happening. And it's just so good. Yeah.
I got to write that one down for sure. And just one more question. I don't want to take too much more of your time.
No, I've loved it. Are you kidding me?
But what is, oh man, I feel like I just lost the question. Oh yeah.
You will. You'll think of it. Yeah.
I got it.
You got it. Good job.
What would you say is something that you still would like to check off your actors checklist? Like, is there somebody you would still like to work with, or a project you would love to be involved in?
Emma Thompson and Juliet Stevenson, I'm totally in love with. I think I would love to do something where I sing, only because I started that way and I never do. And that would be something, but it would take a whole lot of courage on my part. So we'll see if I ever have that courage. And I always like a little bit of incredibly grounded comedy, Royal Tenenbaums kind of comedy. That would be so much fun for me. And it's just something I haven't done on screen, right? I've done a bit on stage, but I would love that. It would be something that would be really fun for me. I like funny women because I think that that's how we get through so much pain. Right, is our sense of humor, our ability to say, "Oh my God, that just happened."
Right.
So where are we going to go from there? You know, how many times have we sat with girlfriends and we've made it better with humor, and that's what I would like to play. That's something I haven't played.
Humor and wine.
Humor and wine. Yeah. And that wonderful thing, you know, they say that being with a bunch of women that you love, that raises your serotonin levels. Like it gets you to a happier place. I think we're meant to get together and support each other and be kind to each other. I think we're meant to. Our bodies say we are. So therefore, let's do it.
I would love that. Absolutely. And like, you're going to be in a comedy soon. I could see it. Like you're like it for the screen in that role that you want. You got it. Like hands down.
I love that. Well, we put it out there, so we'll see what happens.
Yes, along with the musical.
Oh gosh, yeah. Wouldn't that be something? Oh, so much fun, especially harmony. Oh, just kills me. It gets me every time.
But congratulations on the witch hunt. And thank you so much for your time today. This is
you kidding? You were delightful.
Thank you. This is the
birthday friend. Me too. Actually, that was really lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Me too. All right. Be well.
Thank you. Bye.
Where is the buzz?
Oh, yeah. Where is the buzz? You said was mine.
Where is the buzz?
Ooh.